Take your marks. Hup. Hi Catherine, really hope you enjoyed the camp with us last week. Always great to have you on with us. So take a look at your backstroke starts. I don't feel like these were probably the best ones. These were captured at the end of the session. I feel like throughout the session, during the drills and translating it back into some full starts, look very, very good. It is easier to go off the ledge rather than off the timing pad with a wedge. But there are some things you did very, very well. Here, look on the pull-up position, really nice straight back, long neck, eyes looking forward, so you're keeping a good straight spine. I like that you've got your thumbs over the top of the bar, hands around the side. That allows you to pull your shoulder blades back and down, further improving that posture. One thing I would say though is to try and make sure there's tension in your legs as you're pulling up. So you're not pulling up as much as standing up. So if you stand up and your arms just hold you in place, all the weight's in your legs rather than your upper body, because what's happening here is the first movement is to try and drop your weight back. You see that position there? Look, you're only just starting to push, but if you look at your hips, your lower back's still under the water. You never leave the water here. So what you were doing really, really well throughout the session is your first movement was to go up. You were going a lot more vertical. So as you were at full extension, you would have been along that green line there. So your hips would clear the water really smooth. So you can see you've got the right idea. You're putting that arch into your body. You're throwing the head all the way back. You're getting your arms into streamline, albeit it's happening too late. Because you're low to the water, you're not got enough time in the air, so even things like that leg flick there are just coming a little bit late. Take your marks. Hup. So when we watch from head on, this is a very good angle to see. I want you to pay attention to your feet, your knees and your legs here. So what you can see is as they're coming up, they're never quite stable. They're constantly shifting and moving. We need them to be in a fixed position. So it's just like when you're on a dive. I always think about building from the base up. So get your feet on the wedge. Have them firmly planted, so you're screwing your foot into the wedge, so there's less chance of them slipping. And then as you pull up, like I said, it wants to be more of a stand than a pull. So you see as you're pulling up, your legs are still loose, they're still moving around, they're not quite sure where they want to be. Your knees are kind of moving left and right. They should be fixed and stable. So if your feet are in position, then think about pushing up through your legs, through your glutes, your hamstrings, got some tension in them. So as you go on the gun, you'll be able to drive hard through the legs. And the drive doesn't want to be you falling backwards and then pushing. It wants to be you standing first. So you think of that same first drill we did on the camp. We were working on going vertical, just into a vertical standing position with your hips pressed up against the front of the block because you're driving straight upwards. From there we went driving straight up, and then we would do that little pop and entering feet first. Then we start to get that arching. Then we start to bring the arms back in. Then we start to bring the leg flick in. So we're building all these things in. So what we can see here is those your hips didn't leave, and even though you got your head back and you're putting the arch in, you're just too low to the water for it to be fully effective. So when we look from this head-on angle, you can see similar things. You can see that as you pull up, there's a lot of tension through your back, which is fine, she's good. I want you to think about keeping those shoulders level like they are there, but think about keeping the tension in the legs and making sure the knees are straight, they're even, and that the legs feel poised. And then as you leave the block, we want to drive up. We want to think about vertical. Your first movement wants to be to drive through the glutes, the hamstrings, and try to stand up. If you look at the top of your head here and your shoulders, on the go, there's never a change in height from there. Remember, we're trying to go vertical. So as you start, look, you actually get lower in the water. You're leaving where the top of the block is and falling straight down. And that's because you've pushed backwards. So push up, not back. So this arch, this position you get into here would be great if we were just a couple of foot up in the air like you were throughout the session. And then you can see here, look, your hands haven't quite got into that streamline position, and it takes until now for you to get your hands together and locked. That should happen before you hit the water. So from underwater, what I want you to focus on is watching your heels and your calves, because you can see as you begin to push, you can see that your heels actually drop down, which means your legs were loose. there wasn't any tension in your calves. So as you start to push backwards and push down, because your legs were relaxed to begin with, it pushes your heels down. If your calves are tensed and poised up, as you push, it's going to send the force going up through your body, and you're going to go that way rather than your legs being relaxed and the force going down towards the pad. So we want to drive up, and that arch you just seeing yourself hit there, and that streamlined position would happen earlier. And we're seeing this throughout the camp. You're doing really well. I like that you're getting that nice leg flick in. I'll be on this one too late because it's leveling you out under the water. You're not going too deep, and you're kicking and going parallel to the surface. One thing I want to think about on the breakout is trying to break out and think about your thumb of your pulling hand, so your right hand here, and your nose want to exit the water at the same time. You can see your arms behind your back there a little bit, so that's a little bit less smooth than it could be. So I've just included a video here during the session. Again, you can just see that very good straight back posture there. Your first movement is a little bit to drop the head, so think about going up first and then adding that head lift in, that head throw back in as you're leaving the block. But you can see on this one how you're getting that height, looking all the way back down the pool. Nice arch through the back. Hips go high. You just want to include that leg flick right here, and that would then allow those legs to flick and go through the same hole as you'd made there with your arms. So I just wanted to show you that just because it's one we had captured where you see you're doing a better job than you were on maybe that final one. Awareness that it's obviously easier with your feet in the ledge rather than on your wedge. You can get a little bit better grip, but if you can do it there, you'll be able to translate it in with practice off the timing pad as well. So here's some key pointers I want you to take a look at. Keep working on these and the drill series we did. So think about that first drill we did. So stand up, driving through the hips, using your legs, not using your arms as much as possible, trying to stand up straight. Then we want to go from straight and then pop off. So we're getting a little bit of spring into that, entering feet first. Then from that vertical movement, we want to keep in. We want to go vertical, but then we're going to start to drive that arch. We want to start to drive your head, your chin, your chest, followed by the hips into the water. Then we started using the arms on top of that. Then we started bringing that leg flick in. We're practicing dropping the pull buoy in the water so you could catch that leg flick and catch that pull buoy and volley that over the water to encourage that leg flick. You had it doing really well throughout the camp. Just want to be able to practice it. Obviously by the end you've been doing 2 hours of start, so the legs have probably got some fatigue coming in, but I feel like it was almost you over trying. So you threw yourself backwards rather than up. So don't get panicked. Think about the technique and it should have a smooth start. All right, hope all that makes sense. If you've got any questions, get back in touch, let us know. I'd love to help you out, but best of luck practicing and making those adaptations.